Hi, this is Fred, FR5ED, yes, the 5 is silent, here to do another IPA review. I'm sure nobody's watching these in sequence, but if you happen to be, earlier tonight I've done some other IPA reviews. The first one I did was White Hawk IPA, then I did Coronado Islander IPA, and then I did Peak Organic Brewing's IPA. I'm going to finish up tonight with a double IPA. This is Stoudt's Double IPA. This is brewed in, is it Adamstown, Pennsylvania. It is 10% ABV. It's bottle conditioned. That's interesting that they bottle conditioned. They didn't pre-carbonate it in the tanks and then bottle it. They actually carbonated in the bottle, and usually that's done by adding extra sugar, and like a malt sugar or some kind of fermentable sugar, and extra yeast into the bottle. Yet when I held this up to the light earlier, I did not see any yeast sediment in the bottle, so I'm interested in finding out how they do that. Anyway, let's go ahead and crack this bad boy open. Wow, this will definitely be the last one for the night, 10% ABV. I've got some high hopes for this. Let's see how it pours. I do love my double IPAs. I think I mentioned before, Steelhead Double IPA so far I really enjoyed. I mentioned Orlando Brewing as well. They have a double IPA they do called Double, D-O-B-L-E, which is quite nice. I don't know that I would rate it up there with some of the big ones on the market there. I've got Dogfish Head 90 coming up, not tonight, that I'll be trying out for the first time. This is a lighter than I would expect. This is probably the lightest one of the four I've seen tonight. It's a very light amber, light orange. Interesting. And of course my pouring technique's not the best, but didn't create much of a head there. It is cloudy, and as you know, I like a cloudy IPA. More mouthfeel, more body, more flavor as a rule, from my experience so far. Okay, smell. Oh. Okay, the citrus is there. Okay, no mistaking the citrus. Oh, there's a lot going on in that aroma. I can't wait for the flavor. There's floral, there's candy, there's... That's nice. Okay, the citrus grabbed me first. What the hell's... Oh. Fruity, citrusy, floral-y, candy, cotton candy. I'm making stuff up now. It's just so nice. Okay, let's taste it. Wow. Okay, we are talking about a double here. Double IPA. Typically when they're making a double IPA, you think double the ingredients. They have to add more malt, and more yeast to get more fermentation to get the higher alcohol content, because typically you don't start calling it a double IPA until you start at about 8.0 ABV. And this is 10. Wow. So they've definitely used more sugar, and usually, of course, there's all sorts of ways you can add the more sugar when you add the more yeast. Anywhere from just raw sugar to honey to other fermentable sugars, but it can be more malt as well. Let's see what I'm sensing as far as what they did, to that, because it often results in a fuller body, and it can be sweeter because of the added sugars. Wow, yeah, baby. Part of the reason there can be a sweetness there was because since there has to be more, malt, fermentable sugars added with more yeast to create more alcohol. What happens, though, is you reach a point, yeast is going to not be able to survive beyond a certain alcohol content. The alcohol will kill it. And there's different things they have to do, tricks and techniques and sequences that they have to use to get to a point where you're doing 10% and above. I mean, Dogfish had 120s like 18%. And there's all sorts of speculation as to how they do that, to push the alcohol content that high, because the yeast normally can't survive anywhere near that amount of alcohol. Anyway, back to the point at hand. I have noticed that my reviews have gotten longer instead of shorter throughout this evening. I'm not sure why. Oh, great aroma. And again, from a double, you expect more of everything, more aroma, more flavor, more, oh wow, it's foaming up nicely when I swirl it. Oh. Oh, man. There's malt. You can taste the malt, but it's not up front. You know what that reminds me of, this may sound really off the wall, but a Belgian quadruple or a Belgian triple. It really has the huge mouthfeel and body of a Belgian Trappist-style ale, which I love those. My son-in-law got me started in those many months ago, about a year ago. This is the best of both worlds. This is like the body, the sweetness, the malty flavor of a Belgian Trappist ale, almost like a quadruple. Speaking of that, if you're ever in San Francisco and you happen to go to La Trappe, downstairs in the basement kind of location, they have over 400 different beers and ales, and I don't know how many on tap, but they have the most Belgian ales I've ever seen. And the one night I was there a year ago, I fell in love with Koningshoven Quadruple, 10% ABV. It was so full-bodied. This is amazing. This brings me back to that. That's what made me think of it. And I haven't even started talking about the bitterness of the hops here. I'm still talking about the malt and sweetness. This definitely has more sweetness. It is not a dry APA whatsoever. Definitely has sweetness to it. Not objectionable. I'm not into sweet drinks and sweet tasting beers. This is I'll call it a natural tasting sweetness. Oh my, I'm way over time. I should finish up soon. Anyway, Koningshoven Quadruple, if you ever go to La Trappe or have a chance, Total Wine carries it. It ain't cheap. But it's a great way to experience a top-level Belgian ale. And at La Trappe, they said it's their top seller. Anyway, this reminds me of it because of the malty, heavy mouthfeel, malty sweetness that's here. Now let me move on to the hops. Darn. Orange, yeah, orange. Not quite getting grapefruit. Oh, okay, let me take that back. Orange and grapefruit. Not getting any tangerine. I'll put it that way. So for citrus, I'm getting orange with a little grapefruit. Floral. Subtle, if it's there. Pine, let me check for pine. Again, if it's there, it's subtle. It's almost like the hop flavor, the distinct hop flavors such as floral, pine, and the different citrus tastes. It's almost like they're being subdued by the heavy malt sweetness. It's interesting. It's very, very, very tasty. And if we're going to wrap this up here, let me move on to overall. Let me just wrap this up, and then I'll finish this on my own without you having to listen to me. Yeah, I'd buy it again. If I'm going to do the 0 to 5 rating, it's a 4. And by the time I finish this, I may say 4.5. In fact, let me do one more sip just to see if I can nail this down for you. Would I buy it again? Oh, absolutely, yes. Would I rate it more than a 4? You know what? I'm going to stick to my standard. I've not given anything above a 4 yet, even on Brewski Me and my own tasting notes app on my iPhone. 4 out of 5. Darn. I can't think of anything that's been better than this. Wow. As far as an IPA is concerned. Let's stick with a good solid 4. I would buy it again in a heartbeat. I'm sure it's not cheap. I think the single bottle of this at Total Wine, because they do sell the beer at Total Wine by the bottle, so you can put together your own 6-packs. And I know this one was $2.49 or $2.79 for a single bottle, 12-ounce bottle. Don't know how much the 6-packs are, but anyway, it's good. And if you're looking to sit down with a single bottle of this and sip on it over a half hour, 45 minutes or so, oh, absolutely worth it. This is Fred, FR5ED, signing off.